July 12th.
Woohoo! Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. Yeah, so this is our, oh gosh, I believe it is our 133rd event in iLearn, or our
Woohoo!
133rd meeting of XR women in iLearn. Isn't that crazy? Uh, it is a very amazing time, and I am just really excited that all of you can be here, and just celebrating this huge event with us as we keep on you know keep on meeting. Today it is Wednesday, July 12th, and today we are really excited to bring in Dr. Jacqueline Hall. Before we do that, though, we will have one or two announcements, and we'll just go through them now. As always, before we begin, we would just like you to know that when we have presentations, they're shared by our guest speakers, and they're the opinions of the speakers. They may not represent the views and opinions of XR women. However, we have brought them on for a reason because we do value diverse voices. As well as that, your avatar voice and text may be recorded and shared on social media and elsewhere. And if you're not speaking basic online etiquette, please mute yourself. Again, today we have Dr. Jacqueline Hall, who will be talking about revolutionizing healthcare with XR. We are on the Verbella and iLearn platform, and we're all here. As always, we would love to thank our sponsors, iLearn, Verbella, Frame. Been there for us for these past 2.5 years, and we couldn't have met without them. But with that being said, I'm sure that some of you are aware, if not many of you, that this is our final meeting in the iLearn platform. Next week, we will be starting in our new space and Engage. If you have any questions about that, please message any of us about that, or hop onto Slack, where we have an entire channel for Engage resources and for onboarding. So with that, we would love to wish a fond farewell and a huge thank you to iLearn. They've been hosting us since November 2020. They've helped build our network to over 500 women strong, and we've had some amazing events here. So as always, thank you so much. We do know some things about iLearn moving forward. This has been a great platform. I'm sure everybody can agree. And so just so you know that iLearn itself isn't going to be shut down, but they are going to, one of the reasons why we are moving is because they're changing the needs of their platform, or how it's going to be used. So the iLearn campus that you're in right now, you can still keep the application, you can still keep your avatar and your username. And then you can use this iLearn for only large events going forward. Personal meetings or individual, sort of smaller meetings like ours. I say small even though we usually average between 15 to like 30 people at an event, which is so funny. Again, only larger events will be held on the iLearn campus. And again, you can find that on the iLearn website or just through other events that are going on. And they will have a presence on the main Verbella campus. So if you have not already downloaded Verbella itself, which is a slightly separate platform, it looks very similar, that is where you can go ahead and get the iLearn information. Again, if you have more questions about that, go ahead and reach out to us on Slack, or just contact one of us here. As always, you can engage with us by joining our Slack, Twitter. We have a LinkedIn. Just search for us on XR Women on LinkedIn and follow what we're doing there. And we also have an Instagram. You can support us by buying items in our shop, which is the Immersive Learning Research n.myspreadshop.com. You scroll down a little bit, and then XR Women is there with some of the other initiatives that iLearn has previously supported. We also have the XR Women Museum, which is framevr.io/XR Museum. I will say the museum right now is going through a few changes, so By next week, there should be some really great new things for you to see. We would still, as always, love to, support and share our 2023 XR Women Award winners, Athena Demos, Deirdre Lyons, and Paige Danzinger.
Woo!
Love. That's right. Yep. Always love what they're up to. Such fantastic women. If you're not following them, follow them. They're up to some amazing stuff, and they always have been, and they probably always will be. Is there anybody new here? Maybe this is their first time coming into XR Women? Hi, Trudy. Would you like to unmute and say a few words?
Thank you. Well, I'm going to be talking later. I'm going to be backing Jacqueline up. So yeah, it's my first time here. It's my first time. I think it might be my first time in virtual reality. So I'm new all over.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, amazing. Welcome, Trudy. Well, thanks for coming and supporting Jacqueline in XR Women. This is very cool to have you. Is there anybody else that's new that would like to say a word or two? Okay. All right.
Martha's event attending, so.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. So we know who's new. We're really excited to have you here, Trudy. Does anybody else have any news that's happening in your XR world? Any cool tech news you found? Any cool AI news? Any cool VR, XR, AR news? If you do have something cool, you can say it now or pop a link in the chat. Also, if you want to brag a little bit about something you're working on, also drop that on the chat. As you know, XR Women is very supportive of anything anybody in our group does. So you know that we're gonna hype you up for it. That's another thing we're here for. So, as we said, our Slack channel is one of the best places to have contact with our large network outside of these weekly meetings. And if you go to engage resources or engage-resources on Slack, resources, then that is where you can learn how to onboard onto this platform. Engage is a great platform. There is a little bit of a learning curve, and it's a little bit different from iLearn. So if you really want to learn how to do it, I know that they have onboarding meetings multiple times a week, and all of that information we're going to be sharing on this Slack platform and communicating it there. Again, if you need a link, drop a request here in the chat. We'd be happy to get you in there. We love our women of the future. There's so many XR women in here, and so many women that maybe if they're not part of our organization that we're really happy to support as well. There were 100 women listed here. We've only got one slide. This is the tip of the iceberg. And this is a really, really great organization to follow, to see, who's doing amazing things. And we know that as amazing as it is, the nominations for next year are right around the corner. So think about that as you're working on things and sharing events. Or if you have another woman, XR women, that you would love to support and nominate for next year. Again, I know we had this in news, but is anybody using AI really creatively before we sort of move on to our meetings? I know that right now I'm working on a really fun project with friends where I'm trying to use AI to sort of create some meta-human data for like a virtual mirror for individuals. So you can look into the mirror in person and see like another person behind you, but it uses AI using like a link and then meta-human. It's really exciting. Ooh. Evie, you use a paid version of ChatGPT. Excellent, excellent. Oh, video scripting. That's a really good use, Daniel. I'm sorry, Daniel. Yep, chatbots, perfect. Yeah, ChatGPT, video scripting, chatbots. I see a lot of people typing. Ooh, fact checked. Mm, I like that. Wow, there's so many people typing. I love that everybody here is using using AI for so many either similar or different purposes. Yes. Oh my gosh, yeah, it really helps with writing emails. I know that I'm creating a bunch of mini games as well, and it's just so helpful to put in. It's like, here's exactly what I need, here's what the game needs to sound like, and then here's your role, and then it really helps me work with this. Um, ooh, if anybody's using runway.ai, contact Joanne Chiam for some help. And Christine is using AI avatars. Oh, this is so cool. You know, when we have a social event, or the next time we have a networking event, I think we're definitely going to need to just do a deep dive into this. I hope y'all agree. All right, okay. I'm going to move on. This is really exciting. I could stay here forever and continue talking about it. Um, Upcoming events, VRTO 2023. I think we have somebody in the crowd that is going to be speaking at VRTO.
Yeah, somebody, a couple of us.
Somebody.
Actually, Helen Irwin had to leave, but she and Trisha and Julie and I are going to be on a panel. Anybody else? Okay. I'll get a link for VRTO and share it with you all. It's a great conference, a smaller one, but really, really good in Toronto.
Yeah, it looks fantastic. Well, we're looking forward to your the talk that y'all will be having. Karen, will that be streamed or recorded at all? I don't know if you know that information yet.
I don't know that information yet, Jenna. I'm sorry, but I will share it when I do find out.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Um, so in addition to VRTO, which quite a few of our ex-women leadership, a few of the leadership team are going to be on, we've also got XRWA in Perth, a IVR in Kumamoto, Japan. That would be a great one to go to. SIGGRAPH 2023 is going to be in LA as usual, and then it's going to be in Singapore in August. And then we've got Numeric Games 2023, which is going to be in Switzerland, Vancouver Impact Fest Conference in Vancouver, and the Immerse Global Summit in Portugal. Tons of great events. This has been the year of conferences. It's probably not going to stop for a while. If you're attending them, give a shout out in the Slack chat or here, and then find some people to attend with. Next week, we are super excited for Celeste Lear to rock us into our first Engage session as she talks about XR for performances of the future. Celeste, did you want to say a little bit about your talk, or you want to just surprise us next week?
I think she said she had to cut early because she's dog sitting.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
I will tell you all that we will be meeting on the moon. So get ready for that.
Oh, perfect. And what a perfect platform for Celeste as well. That's a great world.
Absolutely.
The week after that, July 26th, Vinci is going to talk about building a musical universe. Vinci is, if we're talking AI, Vinci will have some amazing insights into AI, and we're really looking forward to that. And then on August 2nd, we will have our own Sarah Barker, who will be talking about building effective and interactive events and Engage. Sarah, did you want to say a bit about your session?
Wow, thank you so much. This is cool to see me up there. Thank you. And thanks, Karen, for the opportunity. Yeah, I'll just say really quickly that I'm working in Engage on for my dissertation, and I'm putting together a protocol for incarcerated males. And what I want to take you through is an example of one of our weeks. And I'm going to kind of show you all the cool things that you can do in Engage with a mid-level account, which is, well, actually, I'll have to talk to Karen about that, but I'll just stop talking there. But yes, that's what I'm doing. So thanks.
Awesome. Well, that's super wonderful. You know, I think that's going to be a great talk as well. We've also got Sandra Whalen, who will be talking about a women entrepreneur's journey and fireside chat. Sarah Whalen is one of the co-founders of Engage. I believe that's the correct title, right? Is that right, Karen? Sarah is the co-founder?
Yes, she's the co-founder and the COO of Engage, and is really going to have a great story to tell. And I love how all these events are stacking up, with Celeste and Vinci, doing sort of more performative work and to really, be able to show off the pizzazz of the platform. And then Sarah telling us how we can use it, talking to us about that, because she's got a lot of knowledge there to share. And I'm really looking forward to that. It would be very helpful. And then Sandra talking to us about her journey as a co-founder of the platform. From what the discussions I've had with her so far, it's going to be really, really interesting, and I think will resonate with a lot of us.
I didn't even realize that, but what a full perspective.
Yeah, yes, it really is. And, in a way, even though Sandra is not the first one of our events in Engage, she will be sort of welcoming us there, as one of the executive members of Engage. So yeah, a lot of good stuff coming up. I'm super excited. Hate to leave XR Women Hall here in iLearn, but excited about what's ahead in Engage.
Absolutely. So everybody needs to take their laptops with them as they go on vacation so that you can attend all these meetings. All right, and with that being said, I am very, very excited to move on to our speaker today. But I would like to invite Carol and Dennis up to the stage so that she can introduce our speaker.
Awesome. Thank you, Jenna. And Jacqueline, if you want to come on up, and if Trudy's going to join you, feel free. You guys can go sit in the chairs. So I'm going to be fairly quick about this because I know that she has an incredible presentation for us today. I'm personally excited. Jacqueline and I met back in February because we both have a shared passion for precision medicine and genomics. And many of you, I know here, genomics has been around for a long time. Precision medicine, though, is taking shape. And I just wanted to take a second here. When we're talking about precision medicine, we're talking about reimagining medicine to focus on predicting, preventing, and curing diseases precisely. And that means designing personalized treatments. And these are becoming more common in healthcare. We're seeing it all over the place with personalized medicine. So I get excited because the implication here is not only that it can change and make life for the better, for us to all be able to have a sense of being able to prevent or predict diseases, but I think it also has a lot of implications in population health and public health, in getting rid of the biases and that goes along with things that are involved with AI. Like XR, it leverages a lot of different kinds of technologies, whether it's visualization, automation, predictive analytics. So there's just a lot to it, and I know that Jacqueline and I share that same vision that we can make this world a better place, and that really aligns, I feel, with all of us here in our community in XR Women, and she's going to share more about her story of how she did that and what she's doing. She is an entrepreneur, an angel investor, a future-oriented leader in precision healthcare. And she has a long-standing interest in using technologies like genomics and XR to drive improvements in wellness, healthcare, and precision medicine to improve lives. She originating from a deep technical background in bioinformatics. She has nearly 20 years of experience in genomics and translational and clinical research and advanced analytics. to leverage data to improve healthcare outcomes for patients. She's actively working in the XR space. She has 2 projects, which you'll hear more about, applying augmented reality and virtual reality to real-world clinical scenarios, and on improving cancer patient treatment, and also women's health and support in pregnancy and childbirth. So her education is super impressive, and I wanted to go through that, but I want to give her more time here for this. And I'm just thrilled to introduce Dr. Jacqueline Hall.
Amazing.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for that lovely introduction, and thank you so much for the invite to be here today. I'm super excited to be here and to be presenting in VR. So this is fantastic. Let me bring up this. Are you seeing the slides okay? Brilliant.
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, so thanks for that great intro. Maybe I can just sort of elaborate a little bit more. So yeah, came from the sort of technical background in bioinformatics, and my PhD was actually using AI for predicting response to chemotherapy in ovarian cancer patients. And that led me into a very interesting journey of modeling and using statistics and AI. And I did quite a few years in the area of cancer research. I did my PhD in that area. I did a 2-year postdoc in breast cancer research at McGill University in Canada, at the McGill Center for Bioinformatics. And then I worked in clinical trials for about 6 years as well, all in the area of cancer. And I felt very strongly about working in this area because unfortunately also people in my family had been affected with the disease. But one of the conclusions that I also came to was it's better not to get sick in the first place. And really there needs to be a shift away from the way that we're practicing medicine today, much more to a preventative model. And so over the years, I've become more and more fascinated with also how we can use all this new technology that we have, such as genome sequencing, profiling, for the purpose of keeping well and tracking our wellness in a scientific way. And so this is also an area that I'm keenly interested in and actively working in at the moment. And I think it's just another part of how we can apply novel technology to improving people's lives. So in this short presentation today, I wanted to cover a few different aspects. As mentioned, there's sort of 2 areas where I'm active in XR. One is an augmented reality project that I'm working with a company called LabLight, and I can talk about that one first. And then I'm going to talk about a venture that I'm co-founding together with Trudy, who's up here on stage with me. And we are doing a project in the area of women's health and supporting pregnancy and childbirth. So we'll talk about that as a second project. So I've already done the intro on myself, but in terms of how I'm working in the field, so I work as a scientific advisor for a number of different companies through my own company called Vivactive. And then I also engage in starting ventures and investing in projects, as mentioned, like the Future Mama project, which we're going to talk to you about. So Vivactive is kind of a sort of healthcare technology incubator where we're looking at accelerating new technology, be that genomics, wellness profiling, etc., XR, into healthcare and how we can improve people's lives. So the first project I wanted to talk to you about today is the work that I'm doing with LabLight. So LabLight are a US-based company, actually founded by David Moore and Roger Brent. They're both professors. One is at Berkeley, one is at the Fred Hutch in Seattle. And they have a vast amount of experience in working with protocols in the lab. And they actually started an online protocol library, which was very successful, called Current Protocols, and that was bought by Wiley some years ago, and it's kind of become a go-to for many people working in the lab on where to get protocols and manage their protocols. So they've gone the next step into what we call real-time interactive procedural guidance. So throwing away the old model of papers and bits of paper that we check off, this is really moving into the new world using new technology such as augmented reality actually in the lab. And what's special about what we're doing here is that we're really taking augmented reality to the next level. I'm sure, as many of you are aware, a lot of the augmented reality solutions project things like checklists or screens into your field of view, but are actually not aware of the environment that you're in and the objects surrounding you. So what we're doing here in this solution is actually using spatial computing and object recognition to be able to identify the items and objects in the environment that can then interact with the augmented reality and your field of view through the augmented reality to provide active and real-time procedural guidance. So you can see here in this image how the technology is actually identifying the different laboratory items on the desk here. So it's identifying them with the yellow box and labeling them and recognizing them because it's been trained to identify these different 3D models. It's a little bit like what you might see in a dashboard of a Tesla, if you had the lucky opportunity to drive one of those, and how it recognizes the different cars and motorbikes around you. So how are we applying this in the healthcare space? Well, when it comes to doing meticulous laboratory work, there can be some very manual procedures that require someone to actually do the work, but also it must be done very accurately. It must be done in an efficient way, and we have to have high quality. So I'm just going to talk about one quick example where this is the case, and this is also a major area that we're addressing with LabLight and the solution that we have. And I wanted to talk briefly about cell and gene therapy for oncology patients, so cancer patients. So cell and gene therapy is really a revolutionary personalized medicine approach, which is been born in the last few years. It's really very innovative because how it works is we harness the power of a patient's own body and own cells to actually target and eradicate the cancer. So how it works is you take white blood cells out of the patient's blood, take them into the lab, we activate them using some laboratory processes and genetic modification, and then actually put the cells of the patient back into them again. So they've been activated and they can go and target the tumor in a supercharged manner. So this is really the ultimate way of personalizing our medicine. And it leads to unprecedented possibilities. It's a very fast growing area. It's estimated by 2030 that probably about 350,000 patients will have been treated with about 60 different types of these products. A lot of it is in oncology. There are some applications outside of oncology as well, but mostly in lymphoma and leukemia. And actually the UK is kind of a world leading hub for this. We've got 127 ongoing clinical trials. And there's an estimated skills shortage because we need people in the lab to do this work. They need to be very highly trained, and the work has to be done in a very highly regulated fashion, as you might imagine. And actually, the government's even, the UK government's actually put in 100 million into a large manufacturing hub and training facility here in the UK called the Cell and Gene Therapy Catapult. So one of their mandates is to train up the new workforce, and I think they need to double the amount of people with the right skills to be able to do this work. The good thing about these treatments is they're highly effective. For some of the treatment areas, patients on the standard of care, may have expected to have 6 months. But now with these types of treatments, we're talking about 30 months or even cure, with 45% of people being alive after 3 years. So this makes a huge difference to cancer patients who receive these therapies. But as you can imagine, they're quite costly, £100,000 a vial, and the processes around the manufacturing are fairly complicated and highly regulated. So accuracy and quality are absolutely imperative. And it can get quite heavy in terms of the number of staff. Like you might have one person performing a procedure, someone else checking that person has performed the procedure correctly, someone else there for training purposes. So it can get very congested in the lab very quickly. So how is AR going to help solve this problem? So moving away from sort of the paper-based methods in the lab, we can start applying AR to really support people who are doing this kind of work in the lab, to make sure that the work is happening in the most accurate way possible, because mistakes can happen, and that can lead to us having to throw away that particular product. Or if a deviation happens, it might mean that therapy is less effective for the patient who's going to receive it. And that can happen in about 10 to 20% of the time. So obviously that's very costly and very inefficient. So the AR can help us to get past some of these challenges. So the system is shown here in this little diagram. We've got the headset, the person wearing that in the lab. We've got an external camera, which is attached to the back of the desk there, tucked out of the way. And we've got the lighthouse, which is on the external computer. And the lighthouse is the software which is being developed by the team. So by having these three tenets of the platform, we can actually create a 3D coordinate frame that the person's working within. And at the same time, the AR is able to recognize the objects. So I'll just show you a quick video of what we mean. Hopefully this will play okay. So you can see here there's someone placing items in the bench. You can see these little white carrots hovering above the different items. It's able to identify those different test tubes with different colors. So they could be different, excuse me, reagents being used in the process, and other objects like pipettes and things also being recognized. And you can see how it's updating in real time. So it's pretty powerful having this external system. It increases the power of the headset to be able to do these things. I'll show you another quick video of it happening here in the lab. So here's someone working in the bench. You can see how the AR is providing guidance on which objects should be available on the table and in which place, with those sort of white frameworks. We've also got floating checklists. Oh, there we go, the guy saying checking off that he's done the different items. So that records, for compliance reasons, all the necessary information that's required in terms of documentation, and all the steps are being clearly shown to him in those floating checklists. And he's going through the different steps of the protocol. So the other thing you can probably, I hope, hear is that we have voice commands. So next and back and nudge, which enable the person to see what the next steps are in the protocol, so that they can clearly know what they're supposed to do next without having to refer to a piece of paper or some other manual. So hopefully that gives you some flavor. I have one other short video here. So through having this 3D coordinate frame, we can get really high level precision and accuracy using the tool as well. So here you see a black 96 well plate, and often these procedures require people to manually place liquids into those, so as he's doing now. But you can see that little green bead flashing there. It's highlighting exactly which well he needs to work with, and then it will guide him where he needs to go next, and can inform him, which colored tube, etc., he needs to place there. So as you can imagine, that would really help someone working their way through some of these protocols. Oh, there. To my slides. So that's just another image there demonstrating the accuracy of how it can label such small areas. So there are other companies out there in this space, although nothing which uses the machine learning capabilities that LabLight does. So that's quite a distinguishing factor of the type of activity that we're doing. And also the company has a lot of patents in this area as well, which is great. So the current status of the work, we're looking for a CEO actually. So if anyone knows anyone who might be interested in getting in contact about that and taking this technology to the next step, then please get in touch. We're also looking for more beta customers within pharma and biotech to really get hands-on experience and feedback on using the tech. And we're going to go through, we are seeking funding now in an initial funding round. So that was the first project that I wanted to tell you about, which is, has a really big potential for improving cancer patient lives using the augmented reality. And so in the sake of time, I'll quickly come on to the next topic, and I'd love to get everyone's questions at the end. I know we're going to have a Q&A session, so please write down your questions and we'll come back to it. Great, so the next topic we wanted to talk about, and this one's also quite close to my heart, having had a baby in the pandemic, is around how to support ladies and their families and partners through the magical process of having a baby, or the pregnancy and the birth as well. So so Trudy and I, who's up here on stage with me, are working together on this project, and I'm really happy that she's here today to support this discussion, because Trudy knows an awful lot about having babies. I've only had one. Trudy has helped hundreds of ladies, and she's a doula. So maybe it's a good opportunity to let Trudy introduce herself as well.
Lovely, thank you. That was fascinating. I hadn't seen the first part of your presentation, and I'm actually a little bit gobsmacked at how amazing that was. So I'll have to gather myself. So my name's Trudy Dawson. As Jacqueline said, I'm a doula. So, but I used to, before I did all of the babies and the pregnant people, I had a job, a corporate job, working as a communications executive. But like many women and birthing people, I had my first baby 17 years ago, and it sort of changes everything. I mean, I know I'm talking to a group of women, so maybe some of you have had children yourselves, but you have a baby, and sometimes that can change everything. So it was time to leave the corporate world and concentrate everything I had on babies, and that's what I've been doing for the last 17 years. So I'm a doula. I advise Doula UK. I'm a course assessor. I have my own company, Mother and Mojo. I'm an infant feeding specialist now, a sleep coach, and because I can't get enough of training, I'm also a yoga instructor. So I teach yoga and pregnancy and postnatal yoga as well. So that's me, and I hope that kind of makes me qualified, certainly, to talk about babies. But what is a doula? So I had a picture on a different slide. It's kind of difficult to explain what a doula does, and I know that by the sounds of the accents on the tables that I was in before we started the meeting, many of you from America, which I think that doulas in America are a little bit more commonplace and maybe understood, but I liken it to something between a wizened old crone and like some weirdy beardy old lady who might live in the forest and bring her lotions and potions and, you know, burn some sage over you when your time is near. Somewhere between that and an obstetric nurse. So obviously an obstetric nurse or midwife is very medical. They've probably got a hierarchy, a chain of command, and maybe not so autonomous. So a doula should sit somewhere in between. We're not medical, but we should be able to translate medical things that come up. We should provide comfort measures for birth and postnatal time, but also backed up with you know, the latest evidence-based research, along with some anecdotal evidence as well. So I've got 3 children of my own, and I have, as Jacqueline said, I have supported hundreds of women and birthing people at their birth and postnatal. So I will be using anecdotal stuff as well. So when we're looking at VR, certainly in terms of what can support a pregnant woman or a birthing woman, we're looking at a bodily function. So we're not looking at making something medical, which is quite different to what Jacqueline was talking before. We're looking at a normal physiological state of the body. And along with lots of other bodily functions, we need our environment to be perfect for that to happen. So if we're very, very stressed, we lose our appetite. If we run very fast, we sweat, we breathe harder. It's a body's way of bringing itself back to homeostasis. And you can't do some of those bodily functions unless your environment is perfect, because whilst our brains have obviously you know, grown bigger over the millennia, and we've got cleverer and cleverer. I mean, looking around me at this virtual reality, I have evidence of that. Our bodies haven't really changed, and so when we give birth and when we care for our babies in those early days, we're actually no more advanced physiological state than our cave woman sisters and brothers. So we need our environment to be safe and relaxed, and we need to feel really, really confident. And so sometimes what we need to do is fake it till we make it. So if you are finding a hospital environment or medical personnel, you find them particularly nerve-wracking, maybe they make you stressed, it's going to be very, very difficult for your body to function normally, and for your body to birth your baby, and ditto postnatally breastfeeding and caring for your newborn baby, bonding, becoming attached to this new person. If you feel uncomfortable, unsafe, and you're not relaxed, then it's not going to work, essentially. So looking at VR, there is some really compelling research, which is one of the reasons that sort of convinced me to get involved, if you like, that there was an 87%, 88 actually, if you add it up, satisfaction score in some research with women using VR headsets during labour. And the stat that really got me interested, because quite often I might see women who are looking at their second or subsequent birth experiences and postnatal experiences. And if you have more than one baby, you might, or actually, if you only have one baby, you quite often hear yourself saying, I would do it so much differently next time. I would do this, I would do that. Now I know I want to change things. And actually, 95% of both in the research using the headsets in labour said that they would use them again. So that was
Trudy, excuse me, Trudy, how's your audio? Is everybody else hearing her okay? It was just cutting out just a little bit there. How's everybody else hearing her?
It was cutting out for me too.
Yeah. Maybe you can speak a little closer to the microphone or try there.
I am practically inside my laptop.
Oh, it's strange. Yeah, it's kind of muffled. Are you using earbuds or any kind of
I'll just try and speak.
Yeah,
Where
it sounds
did
like
I-
connection.
Oh, that might be better. Let's see what that's like.
I'm just shouting.
Better.
I'm
Okay,
just shouting.
go
So,
ahead.
saying, I hope you heard most of that. I was just saying that the way that the VR headset is really going to help when you are in the birth space and postnatal is that you are going to convince your body that it is relaxed and confident and safe. And you might be able to convince yourself that you are not in a stressful environment. And we know that from hypnobirthing and all our antenatal education that really the key to an empowered experience is that feeling of confidence and safety and relaxed. And so we're hoping that the VR headset can almost build your environment. A lot of women, for example, might say that they would like a home birth, but they're sort of too frightened of that as well. So they're caught between the sort of the devil and the deep blue sea, and that they would like to go have a home birth, have an all-free experience, but they're too frightened of hospital. So perhaps they could build their home environment within their VR headset. We know that we can use it for hypnosis and for hypnobirthing and all sorts of, the sky's the limit really, we feel, in terms of antenatal education programs. And I think now, Jacqueline, I might be straying into your next slide. I might be lurching.
That's perfect, thanks. So we've been working on a platform. This is using the Oculus headset, and we've been looking at developing several areas in here to support what Trudy was talking about on how to make or assist women feel confident and relaxed about childbirth. So of course, information is power. So having antenatal education within the platform, we've envisaged some chat room areas. We've got some content in there, like video content, but also interactive content. And I'm sure you're all aware that there's loads of data about how VR as a platform for learning is really superior to just listening to sort of or reading information or even following webinars. because you can actively get involved in, for example, moving objects around, so how to arrange the baby room in a safe manner, etc., etc. So these are rooms that we've anticipated inside the platform. As also Trudy mentioned, obviously there's a use case around supporting ladies with practicing their hypnobirthing before birth, but that can also be used during birth or perhaps waiting for procedures in that process, but also during pregnancy for just relaxation and meditation. I certainly use my VR headset a lot for that purpose, especially when I got to the later stages of pregnancy when you're less active, but your mind is racing about what's to come. So sometimes you just want to go and switch off and enjoy some nice meditative activities, or join a chat room and meet other parents to be, and that's also a great thing to do. So this idea was kind of born out of some also some personal experience that I had of having my son during the pandemic, and I had my VR headset handy with me. I even took it with me to the hospital for labour as well. So I found it certainly a useful tool. But I think, as Trudy mentioned, so there's a lot of studies out there now as well, which have been showing very strong evidence base around the use of VR, both for learning and training purposes, but also potentially for the actual process of childbirth and pain relief as well. So this is a project that we're actively working on, and our current status. We're actually going through a CloudWorks accelerator program. So CloudWorks are helping us through the early stages of getting the company up and running, providing strategic advice and commercial input around funding. Steve's in the audience somewhere at the back in pink, so he's from CloudWorks, and we're aiming to do a pre-seed funding between 250 to 500k this year, and we're actually seeking another VR developer and also artists who may be interested in contributing something to this space and helping women with the childbirth process. And of course, trialing out on more mothers-to-be. We're going to be working on this actively with several use cases going forward. So we're really keen to get more people involved. And I think we've got some contact details at the end. So if anyone wants to reach out to us, and I'll be around for the networking a little bit at the end of this session, but also please reach out to us on email. We'd be happy to talk to you. Thank you very much for listening.
Fantastic. Yay. That was amazing. I don't know about everyone here, but it does feel like the projects that you're doing are really pushing the tech to the limit, and especially just the scope with the AR work that you're doing. I'm sure I had some questions about the hardware, but I want to give others the chance. Do people have questions?
Cool. I don't
Go
really
right
know.
ahead, Jenna.
Yeah, Jacqueline and Trudy, I love that you're bringing such a new technology into a process that is so integral in a human's life, and especially in a woman's life, which is new life into the world. I'm curious, what have your reactions been when you suggest bringing in a VR headset to this space where people have very strong opinions about what childbirth should be or what childbirth should look like? Like, what have been the general reactions that you've gotten from other nurses or the mothers themselves?
Well, from my experience of more the sort of medical side, the sort of nurses and hospital, they were very open to it. They're like, oh, if that's going to help you, then fine, I haven't had much resistance on that front. And even when I took the headset into the hospital myself, a lot of them, I think, looked at me a little bit crazily, like, what is that? What are you doing? Because I think half of them had never seen one before. But there was absolutely no objections to me using it. And yeah, other medical staff I've spoken to, I mean, around the research that's coming out, especially, I mean, there's a lot of body of research around pain relief in general, and then of course childbirth being one of those potential use cases. That I think that that evidence base is growing. That from a medical perspective, um, they also try to do in the UK. I'm not sure how it is in other countries, but they try to do minimal invasive procedures. So anything that's going to help you to achieve a childbirth with minimal intervention, then I think medically, if there's evidence and so on supporting it, they're all for it, right? I've not had
Also,
any resistance there.
chip in, Jacqueline and I were having a chat the other day about the VR headset needs to be a tool in your toolbox. So it's you know, it's very common for when you're doing antenatal education and when you're giving birth to talk about all of the pain relief methods you might use. So for example, water, gas and air, pethidine epidural, and all of those sort of things. And we'd like it that the VR headset is just one tool in the toolbox that is seen as the same. It's like, oh, you gave birth with a VR headset, you gave birth with an epidural, you gave birth at home, you gave birth in water. It shouldn't be, you know, anything more outrageous than that, but hopefully it will work. It will work as well as things like water and gas and air, which are, they don't cross the blood brain barrier. So you know, if they are effective with very little downside, then it would be hard not to have them in hospitals, I think.
That's awesome. I like that there's been such a positive or open response. I was just assuming like there would be a lot of curiosity, or there would be a lot of women who may just say, you know what, oh, you know, not for me. And so I was just curious. Thank you.
I also think it's helpful to have everyone's perspectives, because all of us are coming from different parts of the world, right? And I think that Jenna's question is interesting too, because I think many of us who are working in healthcare settings, I think there's this sort of especially in the US, there's just everything has to go through these layers of approval and things that have to happen. And so I'm very interested to hear how others' experiences have been involved in just even being a patient and bringing your headset in. Yeah, that's a great question. If anybody has questions, feel free to just shout it out.
I was wondering about the levels of connectivity. To me, this seems a really wonderful thing to have family members, especially from a distance. So, you know, one's partner can be involved as well as the doula, but also, for example, my daughter is going to give birth in December, and she's in Rhode Island, and I'm in LA. So I'm planning to be there in December, but even leading up to it, some of those conversations. And then, of course, to me, it's a no-brainer at all, the relaxation and how that will be of great benefit.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Since we're just jumping in, I'll just say real fast that I also sent you a private message on LinkedIn in terms of finding maybe someone who has access to dollars. But thank you so much. This was amazing. And I just want to throw out another person to the room as well, Dr. Laura Garcia, who you can also find on LinkedIn. And she works in using VR for pain management. And what they're finding and some of the work that she's doing and that she did with applied VR is remarkable and really kind of parlays in with what you're doing. I'm not a parent, so I can't relate to any of this, but I think what you're doing is remarkable, and there's a lot of data to support it. Thanks for sharing.
Brilliant. Thanks for the LinkedIn. I'll check it later.
I did want to ask about, just quickly, Jacqueline, can you share your experience with using AR with LabLink? And I'm guessing that even since you started working with that venture, that, you know, the headset market's changing so rapidly. Can you give us a sense of how was it to work with the gear that you were working with? And are you looking, what other gear are you exploring, and just kind of where you are from a hardware standpoint?
Right, sure. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention that in the talk, but so we're using the HoloLens 2. Oops, there it is. So that's me wearing the HoloLens 2. This is actually us doing a live demo in the Cell and Gene Therapy Catapult, the large manufacturing hub that the UK government's invested in. And so that's kind of one of the sort of industrial level AR headsets which has been in use. But we are aware that there's a lot of manufacturers, and we're also very aware that we never know exactly what Microsoft's plans are for their HoloLens development. So the way that we've built the platform is so that the software that we have has been made to be agnostic to the headset effectively. So obviously, you're probably all aware of the new Vision Pro from Apple, which was recently launched. And we're trying to get our hands on early access to one of those as soon as possible, because we would love to transition to that as well. And there will be future iterations as well. As you said, like the technology is just moving on so quickly. And I think it will only just improve for the lab as well. So the HoloLens 3 is a little bit chunky, runs out of battery fairly quickly. So, it'll run down in like an hour and a half type of thing. It will need charged again. So some of these laboratory work will go on longer than that, right? So currently you might have to have a couple of headsets and then kind of swap them over, which would be a little bit annoying. But as the technology gets better, those problems will go away. It will be lighter and last longer. And it would just be less of a, you won't notice wearing it in the lab because you're already wearing like lab coats and you've got, glass screens that you might have to work behind with your hands and so forth. So the lighter and less invasive the technology gets, even better.
That's great. And I think we had talked about that being agnostic gives, I think, always an advantage for any kind of platform or SaaS. So that's really exciting. Excited to hear more about those next phases. Well, it looks like we're right at 101, and I want to thank you, Jacqueline and Trudy, for joining us today. This has been incredible. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I, as I said, we always like to go do a quick photo. So should we all get up? We can do a quick power pose or
Do it.
whatever.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Remind me what the command is for the power pose.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Let's see. It's I think it's //
// power. I'll put it in
Power.
quotation marks in the chat, and so just you remove the quotation marks and right, just type it in the chat and then hit enter when you're ready.
Oops.
Everybody will find their way somewhere. I mean, move so I'm not standing in front of Sarah.
Oh, I can move. Hey, I'm flexible.
And I'm slow. There we go.
Why am I not moving?
Yeah. It's always a question mark for me too. So I'm moving slowly.
What's happening?
What's happening? Yay. All right, are we going to do the / power, everybody?
Woohoo!
You want to do a countdown? Is that you up there, Jenna?
That is Robin.
Oh, it's Robin. Hey.
Well, it's Robin, aka Camera Woman.
AKA.
I always think of Newsies when I see Camera Robin.
That movie, yeah.
Get your paper here. I've got
That's right.
news. Here it is. Hot off the presses. Something bad happened somewhere.
I know.
Right. Robin, would you be able to count us down and also, is this the background that we would like?
We need a new background. That's not so
Yes.
great. And also, how the heck do I get that first person view again? Ooh, I'm gonna turn the recording off.